Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. My name is Erik Ravaglia, also known as Erik RBA. I'm an animator, illustrator, designer. I work as a freelancer. I've been doing it for about 3 years. And since then, put on weight, started sleeping less, and it's been tough, guys. All these late mornings. When first Rob came to me and he said, would you like to do a talk? I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, what is it about? And he was like, it's about activism. So I was like, yeah, of course. So then I went home and I started thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. I was like, where do I start? I don't know anything about activism. So I was like, well, Google is my friend, right? So I started Googling it, and you know, the stuff that comes out with activism is the kind of things that you would think. You know, there's a lot of PETA things out there, which, you know, it's harsh and tough things, you know, and like the policy or action of using vigorous campaigning to bring about political or social change is important. And I really respect the people that do that. And I always wanted to have strong opinions, but usually I always fall into that category of people that care but can't really be bothered because they have other stuff to do. Guilty and charged. And in fact, I mean, this is me. With all love and respect, how can I be an activist? I mean, like, this is the kind of stuff I do, you know, my animations. And there I was just in the market selling some of my designs and t-shirts, and hundreds of people, maybe thousands, saw me like that. So there you have it. In fact, my illustrations, they're quite, you know, this is Batman with a beard and a smiley face. You know, again, calling this activism is tough. Where do I go? In fact, I'm so basic that you can say it's a little bit vanilla. Do you know? And it feels that, like, the more I look at the stuff I do, and the more I find in this situation. I mean, even here, peace modernism that Marco has been organizing in the last 2 years? 3 years. I missed the first year. So this was my first entry, right? And this is as far as I could go at the time, putting up a label that says poison on a beer. And this year, I went a wee bit more edgy, right? This was my first piece. Like, it was a little bit more political. And this is really as far as I can go, guys. I'm really sorry. And so I was like, where do I take it from here? I still have to do this talk. I'm not gonna let Rob down. So I'm gonna say, okay, let's Google it even more. Let's find what are the qualities of an activist, right? So I can maybe spin this around. So I was like, okay, commitment, education and knowledge, yeah, cool, okay. Positive attitude, check. Communication, broken, but yeah. Problem solving, definitely. Passion, I've got passion. So I was like, okay, good. Out of this is what I can come up with personal activism, which doesn't exist, but if you put it in the same format, you know, pretty believable. The policy or action of using vigorous self-campaigning to kick oneself into motion. And I was like, nailed it. Now I can finally talk about myself in an activism talk. Yes. So moving from there, I wanted to get a little bit more deep. Is that even English? I don't know, it doesn't matter. So, you know, it's always fun and games to talk about your work. But given that we're talking about something that kick yourself into motion, I had to dig deeper. So I grew up in a council house in a small town near Rome, and it was a nightmare. It was, we were broke. We had everything. Like, you know, my parents were working hard, and we were surviving, but we were broke and living in one of the worst places. In fact, a little anecdote I have for you. I remember this guy in a wheelchair. I remember, like, seeing this guy in a wheelchair every day for months. And then one day I see him walking. I go, Dad, why is he walking now? And he's like, leave it. Years later, I discovered the guy was keeping drugs in his wheelchair. So that was his way of, like, pushing. And I was like, wow, that's where I grew up. Okay, cool. From there, I've done my fair share of living there. My parents were really good. They didn't let me go downstairs very much. So I grew up nice. You know, I didn't stab anyone. I didn't do drugs. Occasionally some alcohol, whatever. But, like, you know, it's good. Another brick that kicked me into motion, apart from my upbringing, was I studied cinema in that very exciting place, which is the third university in Rome. That's where I could get. And I spent 3 years there learning about how to shoot, how to write scripts, you know, learning about DOPs, and it was great. You know, I really enjoyed it, and I got a group of friends, we started making short, and I started writing script with some other friends and partners, and then we started writing TV shows, and worked my ass off, like seriously putting myself into it, and never get absolutely anywhere. I never got anywhere, no one ever read our stuff. Like the few producers that did always like kind of shut a door in our face, never really said what. And what turned out is like, let's say the nepotism is a big deal in Italy, right? I don't want to blame it just on that. I could have been shite, I admit that, but we never really got a chance, apart from a couple of times, to really get our foot in the door and talk to somebody that was real, that was into something. So that was pretty soul-crushing. Teamed up with working in the main station in Rome, which I was working in one of the shops there. I was the manager on a mobile phone shop. And the stuff I've seen in that station, guys, whew. I used to do the late nights, so I used to get, you know, homeless people, fair enough, bless them. Junkies, I used to get prostitutes, I used to get pimps, I used to get pimps coming with the prostitutes, I used to get priests coming with young boys. Guys, it was weird. So that taught me a lot. For a start, I grew this like much thicker skin, and I started being able to deal with people a lot more. That's what I learned, sometimes how low we can get as a race, but also like how happy we can get sometimes. And then two things happened, right? So two things happened. It was 2008, and this man, this is Silvio Berlusconi, right? He won the election for the third time. And at that time, for me, it was catastrophic. Well, to be honest, for most of my country, it was catastrophic. But like, given the actual political state that we have at the moment, in general, that looks cute, you know? Looking back at what he was doing, it just doesn't compare to what May just did today, or to what Trump is doing, you know? It actually, how can you hate that man? Look at him, he's so cute. But back then, I hated him, right? I wanted to kill him. So that happened. And then another thing happened. In the shop, I met this person, which was an event organizer, and she needed a PA. I was fed up with my life. I hated the place I was living in, clearly. And I had a job I didn't like. I couldn't make it in the industry I wanted to make it, and she needed a PA, and she was organizing an event, and there's beautiful places in town with like famous actors, like cunts. No, not cunts, cunts, like, you know, like blue blood, you know, like princesses, and that was the state of me. I mean, look at that face. That's a guy's going somewhere, right? So that's the opera house in Rome. I spent 6 months working for this, well, working for free for this woman, and I met so many people from the industry I was so much wanted to work for, and realized how shite it was, how fake it was, and it was not worth it. So at that point, I was completely confused, clearly, and I had no idea what to do in my life. Like, everything was not in place, and I had no clue. Until one day she said, I need you to go to Edinburgh because I need to organize an event for the Edinburgh Festival. And I was like, where is Edinburgh? And she's like, it's in Scotland. I said, all right, cool, I like Scotland. I mean, I love Braveheart, right? Who doesn't love Braveheart? So I was like, yeah, freedom, let's go to Scotland. And to go back to these notions, right? That whole situation just kicked myself into motion. Again, it was like a restart. I came to Scotland, I've seen that. It was a sunny day, probably the only sunny day of that summer. I arrived, I've seen Princess Street. I remember walking on Princess Street, right? And I was like, fuck it, I'm moving here. So about a week later, I quit my job. She was not happy, but I quit my job, and I called my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back. So I never bought my ticket back. And I had to start from scratch. But that situation put me in a place where I had to do something about my life, you know? So as every person that came here from another country knows, you gotta clean toilets, you gotta do the shitty jobs first, because you need to learn the language, you need to learn Scottish, you need to learn the culture. So after you've done all that, you know, you can maybe get yourself a place at uni. And that's what I did. I got myself, I just walked into Napier and I said, guys, I need a position. I need to study. I want to do animation. I want to do media. I want to work in media. And they were like, yeah, we've got, like it was the clearing period, thankfully. And they said, oh, yeah, we got spaces. What do you want to do? Do you want to do the third year? And I was like, no, I want to do the first year. And they looked at me and they were like, what? You don't want to do the first year, man. Because I had already a degree. So we agreed to do the second year, thankfully, because then I realized what the first year looked like in Scotland. It would have been a real nightmare to go back to that. I would have run away. So I found myself in that situation, and I wanted to get a first because I wanted to show everybody that I could speak English and that I could get it. I could make it. I could get a top mark. And I did. I worked really hard, and I did get it. After that, I started to work in the industry. And I started to work in advertising, and first started working client side, and I learned so much about office politics. How do you make teas? For instance, right? The first tea I've ever made, somebody asked me for peppermint. Guess what? I put milk into peppermint tea. What about that for activism, right? Fuck peppermint tea. So I found myself started working in the industry, but like the work is one thing. I always had to do something in my life on the side to keep me going, some kind of creative outlet. And one thing I was shy about, I was really shy at, it was drawing, as you can see. So I started to draw. I said the best thing I can do to learn drawing is doing it every day. So I started to get on a post-it with a pencil and a pen, and I started drawing stuff. That was my first one, and it was pretty shit, if you ask me. But then I kept on doing it for 2 years, and it started to be like something that like, it became part of my daily routine, and I got better and better and better, and I felt like, you know, yeah, I'm mastering this. I can draw faces. I can't draw bodies, for the love of God, but I can draw faces, right? But then one thing came back. One thing I realized. It's still too vanilla, you know? So like you're doing all that, and it just like, it's missing a punch, you know? It's nice and it's cute, but where am I going with this? So I started doing boxes, okay? So in my state, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna take some of the posters I've got, some of the t-shirts, I'm gonna put them in a box, and I'm gonna leave a box in town, anywhere. So I started leaving boxing on Princes Street, even down, I made it to Aberdeen, and I just left it, you know? And I was like, people's reaction was amazing. I found your box, I love it. I got your shit, it's so good. Thank you very much, it's my new mate. And then this happens. So this guy posted this picture on Instagram, right? I found your box, yada, yada, and he goes like, one day in Edinburgh with some friends, I found a box. They said, open me, my box, despite the fact that those with me thought it would be a bomb. So I realized that, again, given the political climate, leaving a box in town, it wasn't a good idea. So before getting arrested, maybe I went too much on the other side, and I had to stop. But like, you know, I need to feed my ego, and I need to keep doing things. So instead of drawing, and I kept on drawing, but also started doing a vlog. So I went freelance, and I was like, wow, you know what I can do? I can document me becoming a freelancer. And so I did. I started a YouTube channel, and it's hard as fuck. If anyone ever tried to do a vlog every day for 3 months, it's a nightmare. You just have no time to do anything else because you have to film all day, edit in the evening, and you just don't get time to live a life. And then once again, after getting like all this done and, you know, starting to get a few views, few thousands here and there, which was awesome, I realized it was still too vanilla. I was like, this is not really, it's missing a punch. And the thing is, the problem is, at the moment, right now, I'm in a stage where I have no idea what's coming next. I've been doing things on the side, I've been trying, I've been pushing myself, you know, to keep into motion, to keep doing things, to keep trying and put that personal activism first. But at this stage, I have no clue. So that's where I'm standing. I hope you enjoy the talk, guys, because